It is time for the last of the Big Power electric blaster reviews. Today we're looking at the 507 and the 531. In case you have not seen the other videos, Big Power Electric reached out to me and wanted to provide me with free samples for review purposes. You will still get my completely honest opinion about anything being discussed here. As far as I can tell based on the box and on the images on Amazon, these blasters look nigh identical, apart from the front attachment and the stock. So keep that in mind. That's why they're being grouped together. This is the 507 and the 531, the other one. They both have the same items being discussed on the box. They show that you will get some cool goggles, which my understanding is that they are cool. You will get 2 clips or magazines, 3 battle targets, and 100 darts. This is relatively on par with what has been included with all of them. Now, even though it got a separate review, this blaster, which I want to say is the 508, this blaster got its own individual review because I thought it was different enough from both of these, but at the same time, I think there's still going to be a fair amount of similarity, and we'll bring this into comparison, I'm sure. Here with the 507, there's a front attachment, a barrel, there's a stock, there's a scope, cool goggles, 3 targets, batteries, the blaster itself, more darts, and 2 magazines or clips. With the 531, you get the really long barrel. Early predictions, do you think the darts will be able to get out of the barrel? Well, probably. A lot of darts, cool goggles, a scope, a stock. I actually really like the look of this one. It reminds me of, what, lightning stock or worker stock. 2 clips or magazines, the blaster itself, and targets and batteries. Now, much to my surprise, these are actually different scopes. For some reason I thought they'd be the same. The one that came with the 531 is the larger scope, which makes sense because it's also the one that came with the ginormous barrel too. The scope that came with the slightly smaller one is identical to the scope that came with this guy, and also that came with the one of the ones with the drums. So the smaller scope, if you haven't seen the other videos, does only have a very, very small opening, and essentially it's not really suitable to use as a scope, but it does kind of look cool on your blaster. On the other hand, the larger scope that came with the larger blaster, 531, actually has more proper reticle. I don't know if I'd use it for aiming, but it's not nearly as blocked visually as the other one is. So that's a plus, and it's freaking huge. So the 2 blasters, the base blasters without the attachments, do appear to be roughly identical. As far as I can tell, these are the same as one another, and I mean, that's exactly what I was expecting it to be, so no surprises here. There's a jam door here in case you need it. The targets are exactly the same targets that have come with all of these. Basically, there's no electronics. It's just friction that makes the target stay up or fall down when you hit it with a dart. The magazines are functional, not really anything special, anything to write home about, but they work fine. While it is nice that these blasters come with eye protection and darts, especially so many darts, the darts are a hard tip that I wouldn't really want to use around living things. They would probably be fine for simple plinking or target shooting. The goggles do not fit on my adult face. They are the same exact goggles that came with all of the other blasters, but basically they might work for a child-size head. I do not know. It is nice that they come with those things even if you cannot or will not use them. At the time of this recording, the slightly smaller blaster, the 507, is slightly more expensive on Amazon. It's something like $46.99, and then the larger one is something like $42.99. Here is, I don't think this is even going to fit in frame, I'm not sure. Here is the entirety of the 531. This is, I'm a pretty big dude. I'm like 6'3". This is really large. This might even be, for me, this might even be uncomfortably large. Does it look amazing? Sure. Now, I don't actually own the worker stock or the lightning stock. I almost wonder if this one isn't slightly longer than those. Here is the slightly smaller blaster, the 507. This one's actually fairly comfortable for me as far as size-wise. I think I'd prefer a stock that's somewhere between the length of these two. Maybe. Unfortunately, neither stock is adjustable. They are a fixed size. The magazine that comes with these blasters says 10 on it, which is the implication of how many darts it should hold. I actually was able to get 12 in here, although it's a pretty snug fit. Now, we've seen before that Nerf brand scopes and stocks are probably compatible with these Bigpower blasters, and you may be wondering about the attachments that come with this, so let's give it a try. As with another Bigpower blaster, the stock is a little bit taller on the bottom here, and it doesn't fit in this gap on the strife. If you had a blaster with this stock attachment point but without this part here, the stock should fit. The scope appears to be compatible with Nerf rail, as you would hope. I cannot remember if I touched on this in a previous video, but the barrel is not compatible with Nerf brand barrel attachments. This will not work together. And that's not even a matter of it being close. They don't appear to be compatible at all. The battery tray is here on the left side of the blaster. Alright, we got our batteries in. The big boy. Rev sounds basically like what we've come to expect from this line. So you may be wondering, with a massive barrel attachment, how is a blaster like this performing? So I put it over my chronograph, as you would expect, and the shots for this blaster are right around 60 feet per second, 60, which is relatively on par with the other blasters in the line. So if you're thinking of a blaster package that has goggles and 100 darts and 3 targets and 2 magazines, you might be thinking, well, is there any reason why I would go with either of these big, massive blasters over this guy, the 508? I'm going to say that this is a better buy because, for one thing, the stock is adjustable. The performance is basically the same. The only thing that these other guys give you that the 508 doesn't is the ability to use front attachments on the barrel. So if that's important to you, then obviously you'd pick one with that capability. If you just think, are these blasters decent in general? They're certainly not bad, but for me personally, I think that this one gets it done just as well as either of these others with a slightly lower price tag. So these are certainly not bad, but I'm just not sure if they're the best that you could do. I hope you have enjoyed a look at 2 more, and in fact the last look at Bigpower electric blasters, and I'm very thankful to the company for sending them to me for review. If you've enjoyed this, please give the video a like and a subscribe. I would really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed watching. I'll see you next time. I have loaded the darts backwards.